Rendering. I had another question. What is rendering? Okay, you answered for the second question. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, so serving is basically when we request a web page to the server.
Just a minute. I want to turn on the speaker here so that everyone can listen. So you have to sit here so that anyone says you have to turn it on, like so that we can listen. Yeah. Deep Kiran is answering. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Deep Kiran. You can.
Yeah, so I was just saying that serving strategy is basically a communication between client and server. So as a client, we request a web page from the server, and server sends us the page back. And I think that is the serving.
Okay. So yeah. Uh, Anyone else? What is serving? From online, from offline? Serving, displaying information, communicating with the user. Okay. Anyone else? It's a, yes, kind of. Okay. Close by. Very close actually. And when I say rendering, what do you mean by rendering? Loading the component. Anyone else? Rendering? From the online team? Rendering? Okay, since we have already spent so much time, but I'll try to cut short a lot of things. Okay, so serving is like Molly and Pavni said. Serving is when your server sends you response. That is serving. Okay, it serves your request. Okay, that is serving. Rendering, after you get the response, how you display it in your browser, that is rendering. Okay, so browser requests for some information to the web server sends it back, that is serving. And after survey, after the browser gets the response, how it displays in your browser, how it displays that information, that is rendering. Okay, so these are the basic difference between serving and rendering, but there is a relation between both of them and how this also impacts our web application performance. Okay, there is a relation between these things. Okay, so we'll discuss about that. Before we like kind of discuss how it impacts our web application performance, I would like to tell you some brief history about web application development, how web has been evolved. Because the reason being, we have a lot of freshers here, and we have some other people who have joined, and the web application development is growing so rapidly right now. People sometimes tend to miss out things from the beginning. What they do, okay, I want to learn Angular, go to Angular course, learn it, and I'm now Angular developer. I want to learn React. I just went to React courses, and I'm a React developer. But sometimes we are missing the complete web application, the way the web works. If we have some idea about that, that will help us build some performant web application. Okay, so when the web, the term www, this thing started, like people started with web pages and all. So that time the web application started with very static content. Okay, just HTML pages, maybe some images with that, and some CSS styling. That is it. Okay, so that used to be the websites. Okay, that's very beginning of how web we used to work, and that used to be hosted somewhere, and it is like some place in your in internet someplace, okay, I kept these pages, and everyone in the world, they can access to it. They'll just go to that web address, that web address, they will and that will serve its content. Okay, that is how it started. And they are very static content. Okay, then what happened, this got popularity and people started creating lot of websites, lots of websites. Then they thought, okay, we can put a lot of information in that. Then there was requirement, okay, how many times? So all those things we have to do manually. We have to create a website, web pages, everything we have to do manually. Still we are doing, but a lot of things you used to be done manually. So then, so software engineers, right, they will think something, okay, how to automate things, right? So they say, okay, these are the content which are dynamically generated. Okay, there are content which are stored in our databases. Why we have to write it again and host it? Okay, we can do something automated, right? So then they started creating web pages on the server. Okay, so that's how those that era started, where the web pages got served by other servers, and those automation, those things, like creating the web pages automatically on the fly. Actually, those are dynamic content. They are dynamic. They can change. So, and we don't have to write those content again and again for individual pages, because they are dynamic in nature. The data is dynamic. They are creating those pages on the server. For that, what is required? Some language, programming languages. That is done using some other programming languages, which we call as server-side languages, like so now we have PHP, .NET, but earlier also there are .NET, PHP, along with that Perl scripts, CGI scripts, which now no one uses. But now we are doing it mostly with PHP, .NET, Java. Okay, and these pages used to be like .NET ASP pages, JSP pages, PHP pages. Okay, so there we included our server-side code, getting data from the DB and all those things, and we will create that HTML and push it to the client, and client will see that. That's how it came. That area started where dynamic content evolved. These ASP, JSP pages, those things evolved. Then what happened? Then so whenever we make this request to the server, what happens? There is some programming computation happens. Then it sends you this data back, response back. So each request will take some time. Okay, and it will respond you back. And there people saw, okay, our each page has some common data. Why we are doing all those things? So the computation we require only for data, right? We don't need for all those HTML and all those things. We need just the data. Our data is dynamic, not the entire page, like header or the menu bar or the footer. All those things are not dynamic, right? So then this concept started, but which is called like uh, single page application. But before single page application, actually, we started generating HTML on the client side. Okay, so this is what I was talking about mostly. Okay, not working. Yeah. So what are the types of pages? Static pages, which used to be there. Then came server side rendering, which we call SSR also. That these are server side rendering pages. Like we make the HTML on the server side, then we pass it down to client, and client just shows it or gets the page, displays it, nothing else. CSR, this is client side rendering. What it does, it renders everything in the client side. It just asks for the data and it gives it back and it renders. Okay. So in that case, what happens? The server does not need to send a lot of data. So earlier for SSR, what used to happen? It has to send entire HTML, the CSS, all those things. Client will get those things. Then it will display it, right? But for client side applications, our header, our menu bar, main layout of the page are all there. We just got the data and rendered, let's say, only the table we want to update. We will do that. Okay. So these are the different types of serving mechanism for web pages. Okay, static, server side, client side, and we have something called hybrid, which we will discuss further. Okay. I had created all those things. Let me remember seeing the bullets again. Okay, static pages. What is this? Page has static content. We cannot update. Okay, they are not dynamic in nature. Mostly used for websites and landing pages. So nowadays we are still using static pages, but for websites and landing pages, very fast, because there is no computation and all those things involved. Page, get it, display it. Okay. Optimal for SEO. Do you know what is an SEO? Search engine optimization. So what does it, why we need SEO? Anyone? What does it do? SEO? Anyone from offline? Sorry, online? Search engine optimization?
When we search anything in the Google website or anything, then it will show at the top.
Okay, yeah, kind of. Okay. So just a minute, my voice is echoing, so I'm not able to think. Okay. Okay. So search engine optimization is you're optimizing your website to be able to be crawled by search engines. So there are different search engines like Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. So these are search engines. They crawl your website. They make some, their engine, they store some data based on your website. When someone searches these terms, they will get that result properly. Okay, so that your website, and how you put all those data in that basis, it will like rank your website, and the results will come out. But static pages are very good for websites. So website, sorry, very good for search engine. Why? So search engines are just automated scripts or automatic programs, right? So they will go to your particular website and crawl the data. Whatever data it has, it will gather and it will create that mapping for you. Doesn't need JS. The static site, you went to some site, google.com, might not need JS until unless you have a form validation. If you want to display some data, just this for purpose of displaying, no need of JS. So no need of JS, because earlier there used to be some companies where they disable JavaScript in your browser as per the admin policy. Okay, for security. But right now we don't do that. That's why this is a feature. Okay. But we can't do this static pages for which page, if we are having a website which we update daily, or hourly, or like in minutes, we can't do that. Like we can't create a website which shows you stock market updates, static website, right? By the time you build it, the stock market will change, right? So basically, it doesn't need a build cycle, because this is a static page. But you have to upload that page to the server, and server has to send it. Okay. So this is static page. Server side rendering, I already discussed you, but again, I'll cover pages which are arranged on the, generated on the server on each request and sent to the client. Okay, every time you make a request to the server, it will create that page. Okay, so there is a lot of computation happens on the server side. So some program will run, and very useful for dynamic content. Okay, more secure, because the data, all the data, everything happens in the server. Okay, the getting data for creating the HTML happens in the server, not in your client side. And what you get from server is just an HTML page. You don't care whether it's a PHP, ASP, .NET, or JSP. It's just a page, HTML page. It gives you back. It also helps you in SEO, search engine optimization, because how it works, the search engine hits an URL like salessoftware.com/about us. It hits an URL, and whatever data it gets, it will store here. So let's say we created a server-side rendering. We want our address is dynamic. We change it frequently. So we created a server-side page for that. Still, SEO will work. Even the calculation will happen in the server, but it will, the search engine actually will get the proper result. So it will can map. So it will be used for e-commerce. So see, very good example. It might not be all the e-commerce are doing that, but e-commerce pages changes frequently, right? Dynamic, and also it has to be search engine indexed, because you search something on Google, it will show you a link from Amazon, Flipkart, all those things happen. So that has to be there, and it's very difficult for client side applications. Needs advanced server. Okay, because what is advanced server I meant here is, for static pages you don't need a programming capable server. Just an engine server or something like that will be able to do that. But if you want to have server-side rendering pages, so your server has to be capable of doing server-side programming. For example, .NET, you have to install .NET on all those things. You have to install PHP. Then only you can do PHP-based server-side rendering, right? So, and it will need more computation power and all those things. It can be slow because you made a request, it is doing that calculation, and it will return you back. So by the time you will see that, you will not see anything, you will just wait. Okay. Then real-time data. We can't do the real-time data with, just like I gave an example of stock market updates. Let's say our stock market updates happens every second or 5 seconds or 10 seconds, right? So that cannot happen in server-side code, because or else we have to make a reload programmatically. There are pages which used to do earlier real-time data. What they used to do, they used to reload your page programmatically. You are saying your page is refreshed automatically. Refresh means it's reloading, not updating that chunk of data. It's just entirely reloading the page. This is client-side page, which you guys, most of you are working with using Angular and React, right? Pages are rendered on client-side. So like React, Angular, Vue, we use those libraries, which are like fast. Page content dynamically, we don't need to reload the entire page, right? We can just update one particular part without reloading the page, and it's very fast. Real-time data we can show, right? Faster navigation, because from one app screen to another screen, when we are navigating, we don't need to reload entire page. Our page content, everything is there. We're just navigating, right? So navigations are fast, but it is not good for search engine optimization, because the HTMLs are generated at client side. Okay, when we make a request to the server, it doesn't give that properly formatted HTML. So it's there are, so client side applications are capable of SEO right now, but it's not that helpful like server side pages, because server side pages will have different pages, about us page, contact us page. Okay, and we can add some additional metadata for each individual pages. But for client side page, what is the problem? Main problem, our index, this is a just single HTML page. Okay, we cannot add everything into one page metadata. It's the contact us page, it's about us page, it's the like our services page. We can't do that. But if we have separate HTML pages, we can do that. Initial render time is high. Why? Because it loads your library, React, Angular, whatever you do, it loads it. The library gets buckled up. Then it makes an API request, it gets the data, then it's rendered, then it's displays it. So these are different kind of web page serving mechanism. Okay. So what is the problem I'm saying right now? So right now, what is happening? Most of us, we so you have learned about these three categories, right? There are some plus point or pros of one mechanism. Also, there are some cons. So, like static page is fast, but you cannot do dynamic content, right? Client side, it's like fast in client side, but SEO we can't do. So they have a plus. Everyone has a pro and con, right? But what we are doing right now, we are always building a client side application. Okay, any project comes, React, do React. Angular, do Angular. Okay. So we are not thinking about, not we, a lot of companies, a lot of people right now, they're not thinking about some of, okay, we can solve these things in a different way. Okay. Or we can solve this item in a different way. So for example, I'll tell you one thing I've seen. There is a one, you have registered to different pay, websites, right? Sometimes we get a one time link, right? Email verify link, we click on that. I have seen some applications like one time click, those one time links, you click onto that and it will take to a page that's an Angular page. And so what is the main motive of that? Is if that link is valid or not, that's it. But what it will do, people are adding all Angular and all those things to that, just to, so after the validation it will display some data. Okay, thank you for, thank you, your link is verified, your email is verified. For that they have created an Angular application because they want to maintain the same theme and all. But what is the benefit? Just to display one page, you have added one complete set of Angular library and all those modules, routing, all those things, and which page can be a few bytes. That page has become like 100 KB, 50 KB, 60 KB, which is, and we have seen that pages loads very slow. Just for verifying your link, you have to wait. Okay, so these are the things. So that, so we have, what I am trying to say is, we have to be open about deciding the solution. So this can be done in a server side page, right? We can just, link can be forwarded, it will on the server, it will validate and give you a, throughout your page. Okay, you're valid, you are verified. That's it. But instead of that, what we are doing, we have created an Angular page and all those things. The browser will make a request to that link, it will download your Angular library and all those things, it will generate a page. Your component will get mounted, then your component will make an API request. Okay, that's how we are doing, right? It will make an API request. Hey, this is the token we got, is it valid or not? Then your API will respond, then you will tell user, okay, now you are validated, which can be done in a very simple way. Okay, but because a lot of people are not thinking, they are just going, okay, Angular, React, let's do it. But this can be solved in these ways. Okay, so we have to also see, so this is one pain point of like client side application. Because now I'll talk about more about client side application, is because we are mostly working on client side applications, right? Angular, React, Vue, you, all those things. So what is another problem we face for client side application is, when your application grows in size, okay, your JS bundle becomes heavier and heavier. Yes, CSS, you can keep on adding CSS, keep on adding pages. So this thing also was a bottleneck. Few years back, this thing started happening. Okay, we have created. So if it's a static page, you are just creating an HTML page in the server. Until unless someone requests it, it doesn't come, right? But in our client-side application approach, we are keeping on adding the pages and everything gets bundled and it will give you that request. So then the application got heavier and heavier. Is there something to me? Message? Just a minute. Okay. So Then what was the solution? Correct. Lazy loading. So then this concept came, lazy loading. What is lazy loading? Sorry? Hmm? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's kind of lazy loading, but we call that infinite scroll. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, correct. So lazy loading concept, it what it tried to solve, if we are um, going to some particular page, then only we will load that module. Okay. If we are going to some other page, then only we are going to load that module. It will not be added into the main bundle. That's what the lazy loading concept was introduced. But did it solve it properly? Still, we have that one-time link issue, right? That still it has to download that your Angular library whole lot. And what other problem, I don't remember, like I haven't worked on Angular for last few years, but I have seen if your lazy loaded modules again has some dependency to some other module, it will load that also. Okay, so it's a chain reaction. Even if you are going for the first page, it loads a lot of things. So I'll give one demo. Okay, so I think I have to escape this one. Okay, now I have to move this. Okay, okay. I'll give you an example how even if all those lazy loading and all those things, how the web application is being built right now. Anyone has visited this site? Hmm? Not only you, you don't tell. Okay, so this was earlier. It used to be a server-side rendering application. Then they moved it to like we are doing, client and REST API connecting all those things. And they choose Angular. I am not against Angular again. That's a disclaimer. Okay. Or else those people who are getting trained on Angular, they will just, okay, is it the website? Income tax, e-filing, I think. It's little difficult for me. Okay, I can see here, I think. It's very slow here. Tax returns. Is this one? Okay, yes, I want to go. Okay, this is the, okay, we have a login here. Okay, we'll see. Oh, this is bigger than the website itself, the DevTools. Okay, is it visible, you guys? Okay, what we will do, we will, okay, I'll try to put it to this one. and we will go to network. I have disabled the cache so that when we reload, it will not be looking for the cache. Okay, and we'll do a login. Go to login. Okay, we got this page. Okay, so this is normal scenario. We have a fast internet. We are able to do this. Let's do it to fast 3G. Let's say I am on fast 3G, like the slower internet. Now I will reload this page. Okay, so that everyone can see. I'll just reload this page. Okay, wait. I'll better will just link copy this. I can't see anything. Okay, now we will load it. You want to see this thing? Just tell me when it's done. Almost. Okay, still done. Okay, imagine if I do it now on slow 3G, what will happen? But because in India we have slow 3G, our fast 4G is actually 3G, right? So if we do that, I'll just create, just will clear everything. Will not know because, okay, now it's fine. Okay. See the request, how it is going. Now this time I'll go show you this. Okay, there are some failures, but still. Okay, I'll come from washroom. I had some snacks, right? Still loading. See, what I am trying to say here, this is just a login page, right? Just a login page. Maybe or may not be, but as a user, I just want to log in, right? Should be just a login page. Why I will, let's say I am in remote area. This can be a hit, right? This can be my internet speed. They're still loading, right? So the point here is just a login page which user wants. Okay, after login you are doing that, I'm fine. But why for just a login page where it takes so long, right? Okay, so it's difficult for me to find my mouse. Okay, I found. Okay, let it load in the background or somewhere else. Okay. Okay, where is the share? Oh no, not share. It's the present. Okay. So what is the problem here? Oh, it went back again. server side, we were here, right? I think problem is somewhere here. Right? We can't avoid it. We have to write it. And we are employed for that also. So I love JavaScript. Okay. For the meme, I said. Actually, this is for browser. For browser, it is an overload for them, but we are pushing to this JavaScript to our browser. No, you want it. Browser said, no, please. I just want some page, HTML page. I'll just render it. But no, I said, no, you have to take this JavaScript. 500 KB, 1 MB, all those stuff. Okay, I forgot to show you that. You can go to that site again. You can see what is the resource side. So you used to with DevTools. So if you reload in the below, you can see what are the size it is trying to load, like somewhere around 30 MB, 40 MB, just for one login page. Okay, so in 40 MB you can create a video, right? Okay. So what is the solution? I'm not saying this is a solution. This is a part of solution. Okay. Apart from client side rendering, um, server side rendering, and static pages. So there is a concept called static site generation. Who knew this term earlier? Anyone? Anyone from online team? Static site generation. Okay. So what is static site generation? It is a hybrid. It is client side and also static. Okay. It renders in the client side, but it gives you output as a static page. How it happens? So there are libraries which will um, take your data, okay, and build it, all those HTMLs which we are creating. Actually, what is happening for client side rendering on the data? When we get the data, we are rendering it. At that time, it's dynamic. What we do in static site generation, we build it, we generate that HTML on the build time. Okay, still it is dynamic. Still it is dynamic, but it is the HTMLs are generated on the build time. So we can host it. We can host it in the server, and it will help you in SEO. It will help you in optimization. It will be fast. And another good thing is about it will be lightweight, because we already generated the HTML and all those things, right? It will be lightweight. It will be fast. And one more point I was going to mention is about CDN. So you right now, earlier there was a reason because they didn't have a programming concept, they had static pages. Now we have all those things, but still why we need? So there is CDNs. You know what is a CDN? Kind of. Yeah. So not data, you can call it content. So content delivery network. So CDNs are there, which will store your data across the world, and it will cache it. So that we will get the data fast. But CDNs can only store the static data. Okay, so you have already generated a static page, which is fast, and again this is deployed in a CDN, which is present all over the world. And because if you have a single server, we have to so I hosted my website in US1 AWS, right, America. Okay, So from India, when the request goes there and we get the response, the latency time will be slow. Okay, it will be slower. It will be faster for the US. But if you want to have your, if you have customers in India also and France also, what you will do? You will have a server in India and you will have a server in France. But that is for server side programming. But our application is not client side, right? So sorry, our if we create application in client side, we can host our applications in different locations, but still it will request for data. Still our data repository or DB we cannot have in different locations if you, unless you have a lot of money and also you have manpower to manage, because all the data should be in sync, India, France, or all those things. But we need some static pages, right? So why we will do all those things? So these static pages can be hosted in different CDNs so that India will get content faster from Indian CDN, and from there, because these are static, we can host it in CDN. Okay, so that's a very good thing about static site generation, which is now, not now, it has been trending, but a lot of companies, a lot of projects, they are not opting for it. Okay, it can help a lot, but we are not opting for it. So let's say for this login page, right? We can just build a stat. Is there any dynamic data in that login page? No, right? We can just build a static page. And since these static pages can be generated from our React application or the Angular application, we can still make use of our existing styles, existing components. All those things can be reused, and also we get a hybrid, like a static page. Okay, but there is so how it works is every time you, so static pages also you have to see use case again. So when we are building our web application, we have to see the web use case, where what solution fits. It's not like, okay, client said, okay, we have to build in React. Okay, React, who is there? Oh, Prithvi. Okay, create React app, they'll start. Or Kamesh, create Angular. Okay, Angular, someone from Angular team, Deep Kiran. Okay, and create, generate app and just create. So this is what do, like 80%, 90% people will do. Okay, what is the tech stack we will use? Angular. Create an Angular application and start coding it. That's how we do, right? We create a login page and all those things. But web is evolving. Okay, web is evolving. We need more performant page, and we also the engineering and the architecting of this application has to be like reviewed. How we are delivering our application, how we are generating our application, creating all those things, we have to review. So the example I gave you for that login page. Okay, and other than that, the static page is very useful for blogs. Okay, blogs we create like once a month or twice a month. We create, it will rebuild it, and blogs has to be SEO optimized. Okay, someone has to search your, has to be able to search your blog. If not, then there is no benefit of writing that blog, right? So for blogs, web pages, it's very useful for static, this static site generation. Okay, so this is one of the solutions. It has its own drawback again. So it doesn't mean we have this solution, we will use all those static pages, right? So drawbacks is, as I said, it has to be built. The web page has to be built. So you created a content in the backend, then you have to rebuild that page. Okay. So in that case, if there are some data which is being like built every 1 hour, 2 hour, your new content is being added, then in that case, it doesn't suit, right? We don't build it again and again. If we build again, your server will not take that stress building your application and again. But the library I'll be talking about, so that has a good feature, like it's called incremental building. It will not rebuild your entire page. So again, people are evolving. They saw, okay, for single page I edited, I have to rebuild all the entire application? No, right? I had just added one page. So it will add only that page to that. So that's called incremental build, which will be, I'll just talk about it. So yeah, this is one of the solution I was going to propose. So hybrid, we can do, so there are libraries like Gatsby, Next.js for React, and for Angular, there is something called Scully or something like that. I forgot. Sorry. Okay. So we can make use of this library. So today I'll be mostly talking about React thing. Not only because I work on that, but also like when I did this research and all those libraries I was doing, so I came across this thing. I thought this is a good thing to be shared, and this also has to be something when we create some new project or something like that. We have to revisit the way we make our application. Yeah, like the example I gave for the one-time link, right? For one-time you link, but is a single page which will be loaded. We are building Angular and all those things. We are putting all those things together. So how we can do all those things, we have to see. So I'll show you Next.js site which I had created. So far, any question? Any questions from online team? Again, I'm not finding my mouse. Okay. Okay. I think this is not visible properly because of the resolution, Mac and this um, projector. Okay. Okay. I'll just start this application. Okay. I think this is visible to the online team there, but I think it's not that visible to here. Okay. We started that web application, and we'll So my plan was to go through this, how I am creating this web application and all those things, but I think we don't have much time. So I'll just take you through the code flow, how the code is flowing. Actually, okay, okay. Okay, so I have, so the good thing about this Next.js, what I found is, so Next.js is a React framework. If those people who are into Angular, they don't know, React is not a framework. React is a library. It's a UI library just to create UI components. Okay. Framework is something which gives you extra set of rules and features and all those things. Like Angular, what you have like data handling things, routing, everything is bundled. Okay, and you have to follow their rules. React, you don't follow rules. Okay, you create rules, right? So that's how. But when you use a framework, you have to again follow their rules. For example, this Next.js, you have to follow their rules. Okay, you have to create a component in this way. You have to do that, like a principal or lecture they do it, right? Okay, so I have created 3 pages with same content, and we will see how it behaves in 3 different ways. Okay, so first we'll visit. I record it. This are Okay. See, we started from here. I clicked it. The request went to the server. What I have done is I have created an API which gives you data in delay. Okay, doesn't give you instantly, so that we see how it behaves with a slow API. Okay, so there is a 3-second delay. So we clicked on that. It waits because there is something going on the server. It goes on. Then it gives us the HTML, and HTML is rendered by the client, the browser. Then it says, okay, there are images. Okay. Then it starts loading to the images, and it is displayed. Okay. Certain. See, there is this gap you see where nothing happens in client side. So we will go back. Okay, I need a vision camera here so that I don't need to bend it again. Here. Okay, now we will go for client side. Okay, we'll start profiling. These are okay. So we clicked on it. The navigation was fast, right? We got the background color very quick because it's already there in our code, but the data was not there, right? It still waited for this long for the data, then it loaded. Okay. Okay, so here till from here 1000 millisecond to this point, the data was not there. Here it got the data, then it started loading the image, and it loaded. Now, okay. Okay, back, cleared this one, start recording, and I will go for static site generation. See, the data is already there, and we got the image. So this delay was because I was moving around my mouse, I couldn't find. So after I clicked on that navigation, if you see here, the data was already there, right? Because it generated that automatically. The page was pre-rendered. We also, not only the static generation, we also call it pre-rendering of a page. Okay, we know this data is static for this page. It is always the same data. Why don't we pre-generate it? So this page was already rendered with this data. It didn't wait for the data. See, the moment it came to from here to here, it had data. Only time it took to load the image. Imagine there was no image. We had all data. I gave the image because I wanted to show how image loading and all those things happen. But imagine it was just the data. You navigated and you have the data, right? Isn't it fast? So there are some pages in our application which we can make use of this technology, right? We don't like client side, what we saw that time, it was a blank screen for a long time, then it got data. Though it had a blue background, that means it navigated it to that screen, but it waited for the data. Here we had created that page along with the data. Only time it took just to render this image. Imagine that image was cached. It will be very fast, right? So yeah, this is what I was trying to tell you guys. Like, we have to revisit how we are creating our application. particularly on a top level when we are architecting from the beginning, or some new requirements come. But the problem is not everywhere we can push this static site generation. Okay. Uh, I like this Next.js particularly because it supports also this. Everything you saw is a single application. I didn't create a separate application for server side rendering app like you will do for a server side render, like PHP application or something like that. You have to create a separate application for server side rendering. You have to create normal application you have been doing for create React app or ng create or whatever for client side application. For static side, again we have to create it manually, or there used to be some tool for React called React Snapshot, React Snap, for generating that static site. Unfortunately, Angular only one thing is there, Scully or something. Okay, so you guys have to use that, or else. Actually, what I am planning is I'll have another session for this. That's why I named as a part one. So part two will mostly discuss about how we can do such things in Angular. I'll try to research and get you guys something. So let's see how much of this thing can be done in Angular. So do you guys think this will be helpful when we are thinking about a application? So like we had done in past, if you remember, who have been working here, we created an application for landing page. We had to create just HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. We had to create another repo, another page, something like that. But we can have everything in one application. If we are using something like Next.js, we can have everything in one page, right? Like not one page, one application. You can, so I'll show you some code snippet, how it is doing, how simple is that. And again, Angular people, you will find out how simple is React. Okay, so you don't need like create component. Your TS is there, your HTML template is there. You have those injectables, like injections you are putting. Okay, this injection, that injection, that injection. There is nothing like that. Okay, because before you can understand the code, I'll just tell you what React component nowadays is just a function. You write a function, return some HTML from that, and that's the React component. That's it. Okay, you want some data, like you have ng on in it and get some data, all those things you do. There are hooks for React we use to get the data, and then we display that. Okay, use JSX for templating, but it's that simple. Just a function, return the HTML, and that is called a component. Okay, so I think you are not able to see. So this is a Next.js application. Even I'm not able to see. Okay. Um, this is, I guess, index.tsx, right? This is in index page. Okay. So we have, so this is whoever knows React, this is just a basic page. If you have a just a basic page, return, this is a component, index component. Nothing separate for Next.js. But and also client side application when we see, so this is a CSR component. Okay, so how we create pages in Next.js is there is something called pages. There is a folder called pages, and you don't need to do any routing here. In Next.js, you don't need to do configuration route and all those things. You in the page or the pages folder, go and create a something.tsx and export that named component from that file. That means you had created a route. So I created, let's say went to this pages folder, I created a about us.js and returning that about us component. That means you just created a about us path, route path. You don't need to define it and write it somewhere. It's that simple here. So this is a CSR component, and here within this, I am getting this data, okay, and setting it and displaying. This is normal. You guys already do this. What different for FSR is um, there is some function you have to define in your component called get server side props. this function will be executed in the server, not in your client side. Okay, so that means if you are hosting your Next.js application, you have to host it in a node environment so that this function can be executed. You cannot host it in like Nginx page, okay, because it's the server rendered page for this application. So if you have any one of your page server side rendered, you have to choose, okay, where I put it. So this function gets called in the server, fetches the data or whatever you want to do here, and return as a prop here, which will be recorded here. We will get as a prop here, and we can just simply use it, right? So it's just like that, like get server side props. Whenever you define this, Next.js will know this component has to be rendered in the server side. And whenever you have defined this, get static props. That means Next.js will know this has to be generated statically. And you will, I'm doing same thing, copy paste the code, fetch the data, put in some prop, and that prop will be retrieved by that component. It is something like, you know, HOC, higher order component will push the data to the component back, something like that. That's it. So in the same application, we can decide, okay, my this page is going to be dynamic, my one-time link is going to be server rendered. My login page has to be statically generated because I don't change it for 2 years or something like that. I put my logo, login, and input login and password. That's it, and I submit button. Right? We don't change it. I can generate it statically, and inside that, whatever the data is, we can have it as a dynamic. So we can architect like this if we can use something like this. Okay, so this was one of those solution to enhance your page serving and rendering. Okay, and also there is something I figured out few days back doing some other research. So I didn't put much into the slide or I was trying to put it in a code today. I've done very few things. I'll just share. So that is, I was reading some articles. So apart from these serving strategies and all, the way we can improve our page performance is in React particularly. Sorry, Angular guys again. So how? A lot of people, what they do, they call an API when your component is mounted. Okay, use effect. So what happens? I went to a page, profile page. So from this page, I navigated to profile page. So profile page, that route handler, our routing library, whatever, it checks, okay, this person wants profile page. Which component? Profile component. Okay, you come in. It displays that profile component. Profile component did it mounted. Okay, I'm ready now. Then we are saying, okay, now profile component is ready. Then call the data. Now we are calling the data and displaying it. Okay, this is what we all are doing. Maybe we don't see it, it becomes fast. Maybe if your application is heavy, then you can see the impact. Okay, so what a lot of people are suggesting nowadays is to make use of some libraries which will call your API or data, whatever library for data, calling the data, not after mount. So you guys also have done, right? Use effect, then inside that calling the data. So what they support is call the data when your component is mounting in itself. But we cannot do that using like basic fetch or something like Axios. We cannot do that. So there are libraries like React Query. Okay, we are using Apollo GraphQL that does this. There are libraries called use SWR. I guess React Toolkit also does that. Okay, we don't do call data on use effect. We call in the, like when the component starts itself, we can call, we write that code. So it also gives you the response, the loading state, all those things, those libraries gives. So some people are suggesting that. Okay, this is basically from React documentation, new documentation they're writing, they're suggesting. But there is something else also people suggested. That is, okay, how I'll put, okay. Anyone knows the remix.run? So remix.run is another framework, another JavaScript. Okay, so remix.run is another full stack. Kamesh, I know you'll Google it now. Okay, you can Google it later. I'll just tell you what is this. So it's a full stack development framework. Okay, uh, it makes so since it's a full stack development framework, it knows what data you need next. Okay, so what it does on the route itself, it fetches the data. When you are going to the about us page, okay, when it calls, so there is a routing library, right, which handles your component. So that time itself he knows, okay, this route needs this data, so it calls that time. So by the time your component is rendered, not during render, not after render, parallelly when the component is get rendered, it loads your data. Okay, so that way they reduce your like for people's waiting time, showing that loader, and all along with that they do a lot of very good things like they on hover they, so we have lazy loaded modules, right? Lazy loaded means when you navigate, that component gets loaded. But these kind of what they have done is very good thing I like about it. Like you hover on that, they will load that load that component. Okay, by the time you check your mouse, they load that component and you click it, component is already there, right? Isn't it very good? I like it. Like I like that thought behind it. You took your mouse in the background. They say, okay, this person wants to go to profile page. They loaded it. You clicked on it. That's already there. So there is no spinner. And along with that, they loaded the data also. They loaded the component. They loaded the data also. So that's very like very good thing about it. So you guys can take a look at that remix.run. Maybe we might have some similar use case where we can make use of those technologies, right? Because we are still doing create React app. So people think, okay, the only way we can create a application, React application, is using create React app. No, create React app is just an Angular, sorry, the CLI to create a React app. That's not the way. That's one of the way. Okay. Um, so, but good news is, but okay. One more thing I was trying to say is, okay, this remix.run I mentioned, Next.js I mentioned. You guys will be wondering, we still use Create React app. How does this benefit us, right? We can't change our code structure and all those things. If I tell this, Kamesh will think, okay, if I change this to Next.js, another 1 year it will take for your project, right? So that's good. We'll get another 1 year of work. Okay. Okay. So we can't do. It's not always technically viable to just we got some library, just jump to it, right? And remix.run is also good. We can't jump to it directly from scratch, maybe, but existing application. What is there for existing application? For existing applications, actually, I was looking around. There were some libraries for like React Snap and all, but they are not no more maintained. There might be some more which I missed out. You guys can take a look how we can leverage this pre-rendering technology in existing React application. Okay, but one good news is about from the Remix team is what they have done. So we are using React router, right? So React router, what they have done is the Remix team is now maintaining the React router. Okay, so the next from 6 version onwards, I think. So the next version 6.4 they will introduce, that will have that same remix.run feature what I talked about in your React app, in existing React router. So you just need to upgrade your React router, which is backward compatible. You don't have to, play around all those things. But maybe there will be some minor changes you have to do. But if you need this feature, you have to do something. But yes, you can get that feature. You on the route itself, you can fetch the data. Okay. Uh, I tried to put that code as well. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll just show you again. I had thought I'll do some coding and all those things, but bad luck, system and all those things problems. Okay. Mm, I have this. Let me see. Okay, I think I have to stop this one. Okay. Now where that other one went? Okay. So visually, you will not see any difference actually. Okay, this already started, but this is the URL. This is normal Create React app. Okay. Because I have slow 3G in my local host, also it is slow. Imagine it is the data is coming from the server itself. Okay. Because it takes that time, right? Even if we have a client-side application using Create, like React or Angular or Vue, so there is a time like it fetches that JavaScript first. That takes time. Okay. Then the JavaScript creates those pages. That takes time. Then it publishes it, right? So initial load is always slow in, if I don't remember, like in that slide, if I put it or not, but client side application initial load time will always be slow, unlike server side, and what is that? Static sites. Okay. So we will just navigate to this users. What is this? I'm not able to see. Okay. I just navigate. I clicked on that. This user data that was called. Okay. Before we got the data, the API was already the API call was already made. Then it navigated and did that render. It has all those fallbacks, like when your data is coming, how you handle it, how you show that spinner. I have not gone through that. This is still in beta 6.4. React Router 6.4 still is in beta, but you guys just stay updated. Like if you want, you can make use of this thing, right? Whoever is working on Create React app, you will just stay updated with it, and once this is released, you can make use of it. Okay. So code wise, I'll just show you that the big difference here is, where is my mouse again? Yeah. Okay. Index searches. Yeah. So here you had a browser router wrapper in your application. The most difference here is you will have a data browser router here. Okay. So that's the difference in here. And in route, you define what is the data you want to use. So there is a loader property, which was not there already. So loader property, you define, okay, we have to make a call for to this API. Okay. So that when the route gets loaded, by it will do these things parallelly. It will fetch the data, it will render your data component. Okay. And so this will do this. And in the component, there is a hook, use loader data. Whatever the data you are loading there, you can use it from here. It will give you. That's it. So if you have multiple data, you can uh, you can chain them or do in async way. All those things you can do. So the possibilities are there. A lot of possibilities there. It depends how we architect our application, right? How we decide, okay, this is the data we want earlier. This is the data we don't. I mean, it is used throughout your application. We can prefetch that data. Okay, we can render some components beforehand. So all these things are available, which are not we are not making use of it right now. Okay. um yeah, so I think that that's all. Anything else I wanted to discuss? I don't remember right now. Okay. So yeah, we'll just stay updated with this. Okay. And yeah, one more thing I was going to tell, like Remix run, but they fetch it. So lazy load actually will do your component gets loaded lazily, which helps us. But also there is a drawback we see. By the time that module gets loaded, you will see a blank screen, right? So sometimes we preload. So in React, I have seen some solutions I wanted to put in this. There are solutions you can uh, preload a lazy loaded component. So we have a lazy load, we have a preload. So we have to bind them all together to get a optimal performance. So let's say I went to a page, and in this page I have links to three different screens. I can preload those components if I want. Not always again. If we if I think the user is tend to visiting that thing. So we have already done that for a Angular application. I did like 2 3 years back. Wait. So there we had a lazy loaded modules. Okay, we have a same login screen based on your role. Particular module you will be seeing admin dashboard, employer dashboard, employee dashboard. Okay, so obviously what we'll do, we will lazy load those modules, and login module will be different, right? But again, once they are doing that login, after the login, that module is getting loaded, that became slower. So what I tried was that time was like, I, here I give a thumbs up to Angular. Like they had this technique 3 4 years back. So what I did was I preloaded that module. So how we architected that was, so we had a landing page. From that landing page, we'll go to, so we'll click on that link. Okay, admin login or employer, whatever. So they there in the URL, you will have a login slash admin, login slash employee. Okay, so that will be there. Based on that, we know what kind of user it is. So based on that, we will preload that lazy loaded component. So you're getting that. Preload the lazy load module so that by the time user fills in the username, password, hits the submit button, that module is already there. They'll just hit the login and go to that screen, right? Order also we can change. So there are some strategies. I don't remember preload strategy. That is called preload strategies. Always and some other things. So what I did this for this one, like custom preloading for only these three items. Whatever the module is, login, just preload that, and will not preload the other thing. It's already there. So here it was conditional. Right? You can't put order like admin, employee, employer, because if I am an employee, I'll never log into admin, right? So admin module is never required. So we can't put order. So that's why we did that. So we can do something, this kind of strategies, if we take how to serve and render, apart from your application logic and all those things, we can make our application a little bit more performant. Okay, thank you for bearing me for so long. Okay, and the delay we had, system issue and all those things. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Any questions? No. Well, mhm. Hmm. You're sending from data from UI to server is basically you're doing a form post. Okay, usually for that reason we do that. So that is just you're submitting your data. That is nothing here like this case. Rendering or serving coming from server, all those things are not involved, right? So there you are just sending your data from server, and if it is optimally done in the backend, that response also you will get very fast. Hmm. Mhm. 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 Is it? I didn't know that. Like I will look into this Angular. That's what I was thinking. Um, okay, okay. Then I'll put that. Thanks for that. I'll put that in the next session. Or if you want, you can take the next session also in Angular because you have more experience in Angular than me. Uh, if you are interested, you can take, right? Or else I'll try. But yeah, the same logic in the route it will do, right? Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks. Any other questions? Any other question from the online team? I don't know how many are still there. Okay, there are a few. Any questions? Deepkiran, any questions?
No, it was a great session. Need some time to sync the information and let you know if I have any questions.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
It was great.
Sushma,
Quite
yeah,
informative.
thanks. Sushma, Sai Krishna, Surya Kumar, any questions?
No.
Okay, then we'll wrap it up. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I see you in the next session. It will be same boring again. Okay. Bye, 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 everyone.